My name is Margot, and I never thought a single phone call could change everything. I was enjoying my Saturday morning routine, curled up on my sofa with coffee, when my phone rang. Mom's face lit up my screen. I answered with a smile, not knowing what was coming. "Margot, honey," she said, her voice oddly formal. "Your father and I want you to know we love you very much." Something in her tone made me sit up straight. "What's going on, Mom?" "Well, as you know, your father's 60th birthday celebration is next weekend at Riverside Restaurant." "I've had it marked on my calendar for months," I replied. "That's the thing, dear. We've been reviewing the guest list and, well, we need to make some cuts. Important business contacts are coming, and we've decided it would be best if you didn't attend this particular event." The coffee mug nearly slipped from my hand. "Excuse me?" "Don't worry, we see each other so often anyway. Your father wants to focus on people who are important to the business. We'll have you over for a barbecue later instead." My heart hammered against my ribs. "Are Jake and Melanie still invited?" I asked about my older siblings. Mom hesitated. "Well, yes, but are they Dad's business partners now?" My voice was sharper than I intended. "No, but Margot, you don't even like big gatherings. You're always so quiet at parties, you prefer your privacy, don't you?" I gripped the phone tighter. "Since when do you and Dad decide what I like or don't like?" There was a shuffling sound, and then my father's voice boomed through the speaker. "Margot, be reasonable. Your brother and sister need to network with the business community. One of them will take over the company someday." And there it was, the truth I'd always suspected but never heard so bluntly. I wasn't part of their future plans. Without another word, I hung up. I sat frozen, staring at nothing. The coffee went cold beside me. Their message was clear. I wasn't important enough to include, I wasn't valuable enough. When push came to shove, I was expendable. After 20 minutes of stunned silence, I called my best friend, Lisa. "They did what?" Lisa's voice exploded through the phone when I told her what happened. "Uninvited me, apparently. I'm not worth a seat at Dad's birthday dinner." "That's insane, Marg. You need to forget about them for a while. They don't deserve your energy." As she spoke, something caught my eye through the window. I stood up and walked closer, not believing what I was seeing. Parked in my building's courtyard was a gleaming black SUV with a massive red bow on top. The car I'd been saving up for 2 years to give my father for his birthday. I'd pinched pennies, taken extra shifts, and skipped vacations to afford it. I'd coordinated with the dealership for months to ensure it would be perfect. And now it sat there, a monument to my foolishness. A strange calm washed over me as a plan formed in my mind. "Lisa, I need to call you back," I said. I immediately dialed my boss at the architectural firm where I worked. "Mark, remember that vacation time I've been putting off for a year? Is it possible for me to take 2 weeks starting Monday?" "Actually, that's perfect timing," Mark replied. "You just wrapped up the West Side project yesterday. Take the time, you've earned it." Next, I called Lisa back. "Can you come over right now? And bring your camera gear. I'm keeping the car, and we're going on a road trip." 40 minutes later, Lisa arrived, equipment in tow. Her eyes widened when she saw the SUV. "That's what you bought for your dad. It's gorgeous." "Was going to buy for my dad," I corrected. "Now it's mine. And tomorrow, you and I are driving it across the country." Lisa's face lit up. "Seriously? I can bring my professional gear and shoot landscapes along the way. It would be perfect for my portfolio." "Exactly, you take pictures, I'll drive, and neither of us will think about my family." Lisa grabbed her camera. "Let's take some photos of you with your new ride first." For the next hour, I posed beside the SUV, leaning against its shiny black exterior, sitting on the hood, and pretending to drive. Lisa worked her magic, capturing dozens of perfect shots. I selected the best one, me standing proudly next to the car, hand on my hip, sunglasses perched on my nose, looking like I owned the world. With a deep breath, I posted it on Instagram with the caption, "This was supposed to be a gift, but when someone doesn't want you at their party, you keep the presents for yourself." Within minutes, comments flooded in. What happened? Who wouldn't want you at their party? Spill the tea, girl. I ignored them all, satisfaction warming my chest. An hour later, my phone rang again. Mom. Margot, what do you think you're doing? Take that post down right now. You're embarrassing the family. Her voice shifted to a sweeter tone. Listen, we've been talking, and we'd love for you to come to the party after all, and please bring that lovely gift with you. I laughed softly. No thanks, Mom, I already have plans for those days, and for the car. I hung up before she could respond and turned to Lisa, who was organizing her camera equipment. Pack your bags tonight, I told her, we leave at dawn. The next morning, I woke up before my alarm. The excitement of our impromptu road trip had me buzzing with energy. Lisa arrived at 6 a.m. sharp, 2 large suitcases and her photography equipment in tow. Ready for our great escape? She asked, tossing her bags into the spacious trunk of my new SUV. More than ready, I replied, sliding into the driver's seat. The leather interior still had that new car smell. Dad would have loved it. That thought stung, but I pushed it away. We hit the road as the sun was rising. The SUV handled like a dream, smooth and powerful as we left the city behind. For the first time since yesterday's phone call, I felt free. So, where are we headed first? Lisa asked, already setting up her camera on the dashboard mount. I figured we'd head east first, hit that viewpoint at Eagle Ridge. Then maybe drive down to Lakeside Point. After that, we'll play it by ear. The miles flew by. Lisa snapped photos of the sunrise breaking over the mountains while I focused on the road ahead. By noon, we'd crossed the state line, and I felt something loosen in my chest. Let's stop here, Lisa suggested as we approached Eagle Ridge, the lights perfect. We pulled into the overlook area. The view was spectacular, rolling hills stretching to the horizon, a crystal-clear lake reflecting the blue sky. Lisa immediately went to work, setting up her tripod and adjusting her lenses. Get in the frame, she called out, stand next to the SUV. I posed beside my new car, the dramatic landscape behind me. The wind tousled my hair as Lisa clicked away. These are going to be amazing, she said, showing me a few shots on her camera screen. Back in the car, I scrolled through the photos, selecting the best one. It showed me leaning against the SUV's hood, the majestic vista spread out behind me. I posted it immediately with the caption, "Some people don't appreciate gifts, that's okay, I'm putting it to better use." We continued our journey, stopping at scenic points along the way. Lisa captured incredible shots, both of the landscapes and of me with the SUV. Each time, I carefully selected and posted photos, making sure my parents would see exactly what they were missing. By late afternoon, my phone was blowing up with notifications. Friends commenting, asking questions, sending private messages of support. I ignored them all. The only messages I wanted to see would be from my parents, and those hadn't come. Not yet. As evening approached, we checked into a small motel off the highway. The room was basic but clean, with 2 twin beds and a decent shower. I'm starving, Lisa declared, flopping onto one of the beds. Let's grab dinner and drinks, I saw a diner across the street. Over burgers and fries, we planned the next day's route. That's when my phone rang. An unfamiliar number. Hello? Margot, it's Robert Daniels. I nearly choked on my fry. Robert was my father's oldest friend and the primary investor in his company. He was also one of the few adults who'd always treated me with respect growing up. Mr. Daniels, hi, I said, straightening up, this is unexpected. I've seen your recent posts online, he said, his deep voice serious. I spoke with your father today, asked him what was going on, he was evasive. Would you mind telling me what happened? So I did. The whole story, from the phone call to my decision to keep the car. I didn't exaggerate or embellish, the truth was damning enough. I see, he said when I finished, that's not how family should treat each other. No, it's not, I agreed, a lump forming in my throat. Thank you for your honesty, Margot, enjoy your trip, drive safely. After we hung up, Lisa raised an eyebrow, what was that about? I'm not sure, I said, but I think my dad's about to have a very uncomfortable conversation. My prediction proved correct. 3 hours later, my phone lit up with my mother's name. Have you lost your mind? She shrieked without preamble. Robert Daniels just called your father to say he won't be attending the party. He's our biggest investor, Margot. What did you say to him? The truth, I said calmly, that you and Dad didn't think I was important enough to include in the celebration. You need to call him back right now and fix this. Your father's company needs his investment. Do you understand what you've done? I understand perfectly, and no, I won't be calling him. I hung up, my hand shaking slightly. Lisa looked at me with wide eyes. Wow, that escalated quickly. It's not my fault people have a problem with how they treated me, I said, though guilt pinched at my conscience. I hadn't intended to impact Dad's business. The guilt didn't last long. My parents had made their choice when they decided I wasn't worth including. Now they were facing the consequences of that decision. The next morning, we set out early, heading toward Lakeside Point. The SUV's navigation system guided us flawlessly through winding mountain roads. This car really is amazing, Lisa said, adjusting her seat. Your dad would have loved it. His loss, I replied, pressing the accelerator a little harder. We reached the famous Outlook just before noon. It was even more breathtaking than the photos online had suggested, crystal waters stretching to the horizon, framed by ancient pine trees. Lisa spent an hour capturing the perfect shots, including several of me posing with the SUV. This one's perfect, she said, showing me a photo of me sitting on the hood, sunglasses on, looking like I didn't have a care in the world. I posted it immediately, testing out my gift that someone refused, working perfectly so far. Within minutes, my phone was buzzing again. More comments, more messages. But the only notification I cared about was a text from Mom. Stop this childish behavior immediately, you're bringing shame to this family. As we drove away from Lakeside Point, I felt lighter somehow. For the first time in my life, I wasn't trying to earn my parents' approval. I was living for myself, making my own choices. And it felt incredibly good. Our road trip continued, with each mile putting more distance between me and my family drama. Lisa and I fell into an easy routine: drive until we found something beautiful, stop for photos, post them online, then drive some more. I checked my phone less frequently now, no longer anxiously waiting for my parents to call. When Mom did call, I let it go to voicemail. I was done explaining myself. On the 5th day of our journey, Lisa captured stunning shots of me beside a famous waterfall. The water cascaded down behind me while I leaned against the SUV, looking carefree. I posted it with the caption, "Finding peace in unexpected places." My phone buzzed with a notification. I expected another call from Mom, but it was a message from my sister, Melanie. Dad's party is tomorrow night, you really should be there, family is family. I showed Lisa the message and she snorted, rich coming from her. She didn't stand up for you when they uninvited you. That evening, we checked into a motel with decent Wi-Fi. While Lisa edited her photos, I scrolled through social media. My posts had generated quite a buzz among friends and family, with dozens asking what was going on. I still hadn't publicly explained, preferring to let my parents squirm. But now, more calls were coming in, from aunts, uncles, cousins. I ignored them all. The next morning marked 1 week of our road trip, and coincidentally, it was also Dad's birthday. Towards noon, my phone rang again, Mom. This time, I answered, "Hello?" "Margot, this has gone far enough," she said, her voice strained. "Do you have any idea what you've done? The pastor from our church called your father yesterday. He said he'd spoken with Robert and knows the whole story. He's refusing to attend tonight. Said he supports family values and is disappointed in how we treated you." I couldn't help but laugh. "So the pastor has better family values than you do?" "It's not funny. Your father tried to explain that you chose not to come, but Pastor Williams accused him of lying. This is humiliating, Margot." "You know what's humiliating, Mom? Being told you're not important enough to attend your own father's birthday." that strangers matter more than you do. I hung up, my heart racing. Lisa looked at me with concern, but I shook my head. I'm fine, really. We spent Dad's birthday exploring a national park. Lisa took breathtaking photos of ancient trees and mountain vistas. Throughout the day, I posted several of them, each caption more pointed than the last. That evening, we found a hotel with a proper restaurant. Over dinner, I finally allowed myself to check my sister's Instagram. She'd posted photos from Dad's party. The sight hit me harder than expected. The banquet hall, which should have been packed with business associates and friends, was nearly empty. I counted maybe 15 people total. My mother looked tense in every shot, my father's smile strained. Melanie and Jake stood awkwardly beside them, everyone pretending to have a good time. Wow, Lisa said, looking over my shoulder, that's sad. But instead of pity, I felt vindication. They chose this, I said, putting my phone away. They chose business connections over me, and now they don't even have those. 2 days later, I got a call from Aunt Patricia, Dad's sister. I answered, expecting another lecture. Margot, I thought you should know your father is furious, she said without greeting. He's talking about confronting you when you get back. He's angrier than I've ever seen him, be careful, honey. After we hung up, I immediately called my landlady. Mrs. Grayson, it's Margot Wilson, I need a favor. My parents have spare keys to my apartment, and I'd like the locks changed before I return. Is everything all right, dear? She asked, concern evident. Just a family disagreement. I'd also appreciate it if you could ask the concierge not to allow my family into the building. Consider it done. When will you be back? In about 5 days. We continued our journey, but the joy had dimmed somewhat. I found myself checking my surroundings more often, as if my father might suddenly appear. 3 days later, I received a text from my brother, "You've ruined everything, hope you're happy." I didn't respond, but I showed Lisa. What does he mean? She asked. No idea, maybe Dad's business is suffering without Robert's support. The thought should have troubled me, but I felt oddly detached. These were the consequences of their choices, not mine. Our final days on the road were quieter, we took fewer photos, posted less often. The trip had served its purpose, I'd made my point, and now I was ready to return to real life. On our last night, in a hotel just 3 hours from home, Lisa raised her glass again, to the best revenge road trip ever. I smiled. It wasn't about revenge, it was self-respect, boundaries. Not letting people treat me like I don't matter. She nodded slowly. Well, mission accomplished, no one will take you for granted again. When we finally pulled into my apartment building's parking lot, the concierge rushed out to greet us. Ms. Wilson, good to see you back, he said, helping with our bags. Just so you know, your locks have been changed as requested. Thank you, Charlie. Was there any trouble while I was gone? His expression turned serious. A young man and woman tried to enter your apartment 3 days ago. They had spray cans with them, like for graffiti, I think. I refused to let them up, as per Mrs. Grayson's instructions. My brother and sister had tried to vandalize my apartment. The realization hit me like a punch to the gut. And yesterday, Charlie continued, an older couple came by. Very angry. The gentleman was shouting about family loyalty. I threatened to call the police, and they left. My parents, they'd actually come to my building to confront me. Thank you for handling that, Charlie, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. I appreciate it. Standing in my newly secured apartment, I looked out the window at my SUV, the gift that had started it all. It wasn't just a car anymore. It was a symbol of my refusal to be invisible, to be less than, to be the family afterthought. 3 months passed after our road trip. Life settled back into a routine, but everything felt different. I threw myself into work, taking on new projects and earning praise from clients. I hadn't spoken to my parents or siblings since returning. They tried calling at first, then texting, then nothing. The silence was both a relief and a weight. Lisa's photos from our trip had turned out beautifully. She displayed them in her studio and sold several prints to interior decorators. We'd joke that my family drama had inadvertently launched her landscape photography career. I was scrolling through emails that afternoon when I noticed a news alert about local businesses. The headline made me freeze: Wilson Construction scales back riverfront development amid financing concerns. With shaking hands, I clicked the link. The article detailed how my father's company had been forced to abandon a major project due to unexpected financing issues. While they weren't bankrupt, the loss of the riverfront development was described as a significant setback. I knew immediately what had happened. Robert Daniels had pulled his investment, just as my mother had feared. My stomach churned with conflicting emotions: guilt, satisfaction, worry. I closed the article without finishing it. That evening, my phone rang with an unfamiliar number. "Hello? Margot, it's Aunt Claire, my mother's sister. We'd never been particularly close." "Hi, Aunt Claire, this is Unexpected. I've been asked to talk some sense into you," she said bluntly. "Your parents are suffering because of your vindictive behavior." I took a deep breath. "I wasn't vindictive, Aunt Claire. I told the truth about what happened. I didn't lie or exaggerate. You deliberately embarrassed them on social media. You cost your father an important business relationship." I didn't ask Robert Daniels to pull his investment. He made that choice after learning how they treated me. "Family problems should stay private, Margot. You acted selfishly." I felt a familiar anger rising. No, they acted selfishly when they decided I wasn't important enough to include in a family celebration. They rejected me, not the other way around. They made one mistake. "It wasn't just one mistake," I interrupted, "it was a pattern. They've always treated me as less important than Jake and Melanie. They've always made it clear that I'm not part of the future they envision." This was just the first time they said it out loud. Silence fell between us. "I didn't call anyone to complain about them," I continued, my voice steadier now. "I didn't ask anyone to boycott Dad's party. I simply shared what happened, and people drew their own conclusions." "Your parents deserve better," Aunt Claire said stiffly. "So do I." I ended the call. Later that night, I sat on my balcony, looking out at the city lights. The confrontation with Aunt Claire had stirred up all the feelings I'd been trying to suppress. Had I gone too far? Should I have kept quiet about being uninvited? Was I responsible for my father's business troubles? And then my phone rang again. I almost didn't answer, afraid it would be another relative calling to lecture me. But the screen showed Mrs. Grayson, my landlady. "Margot, dear, I'm sorry to bother you so late. There's a gentleman here insisting on speaking with you. He says he's your father's friend, a Mr. Daniels?" My heart skipped. "It's okay, Mrs. Grayson, you can send him up." 5 minutes later, there was a knock at my door. I opened it to find Robert Daniels, looking much the same as he always had: tall, distinguished, kind eyes. "Margot," he said warmly, "thank you for seeing me." "Mr. Daniels, this is a surprise." I gestured him inside, suddenly self-conscious about my small apartment. "What brings you here, Mr. Daniels?" He met my gaze directly. "I wanted to make sure you're all right. And to let you know that what happened with your father's business wasn't entirely your fault." "What do you mean?" "I'd been considering reducing my investment for some time. Your father's been making risky decisions lately, ignoring advice. What happened with you was the final straw, not the only reason." Relief washed over me. "Thank you for telling me that." "Your father blames you entirely, of course," he added, almost apologetically. "Of course he does," I said, unable to keep the bitterness from my voice. "I also wanted to say I admire how you handled the situation. Standing up for yourself couldn't have been easy." I blinked back unexpected tears. "It wasn't. I still wonder sometimes if I overreacted." "You didn't," he said firmly. "Family should never make you feel unwanted or unimportant." After Robert left, I felt lighter somehow. Vindicated. The road trip, the social media posts, changing my locks, all of it had been necessary to protect myself, to establish boundaries. The next day, I drove my SUV to meet Lisa at her studio. The car had become more than transportation, it was a symbol of my independence, my self-worth. You seem different today, Lisa observed as we clinked glasses, more at peace. I think I am, I replied. I finally accepted that I did the right thing. And your family? I shrugged. Maybe someday we'll find a way forward, but it would have to be on different terms. I won't go back to being invisible. To visibility, Lisa said, raising her glass. And to family values, I added with a wry smile, the real ones: respect, honesty, and treating people like they matter. That night, I drove home along the coast, windows down, music playing. The SUV handled the curves beautifully. I thought about how this car, originally meant as a gift, had instead given me the greatest gift of all, the courage to stand up for myself. I had good people in my life who valued me: Lisa, my colleagues, even Robert Daniels in his way. I didn't need the approval of people who couldn't see my worth, even if those people were family.